Many evolutionists like to believe that we possess or we have vestigial structures in our body. Just another aspect of evolutionism, which they claim that we don't need, or we used to use these structures in order to help us. Let's look at what the word vestigial means in the dictionary. In the Merriam-Webster, which is a professional source, states a bodily part or organ that is small and degenerate or imperfectly developed in comparison to one more fully developed in an earlier stage of the individual in a past generation or in closely related forms. Now, there is a quote by a histologist. He's a senior science advisor for the Office of Science at the Department of Energy, and he makes this comment, which I know that the evolutionists will say that I'm taking it out of context. Well, you must be out of your mind to conclude that, but just listen to what he says. As a histologist, I see no reason to consider the appendix as having no function, since it contains numerous lymphoid follicles that produce functional lymphocytes and a rich blood supply to communicate them. The general idea of vestigial organs is to me a measure of ignorance, arrogance, and lack of imagination. Ignorance in that we label it as such because we do not know its function. Arrogance in that we declare it of no value since we can see none. And lacking in imagination insofar as when we cannot see its function, cannot imagine one. I call your attention to that other vestigial organ, the thymus, without which in early life we would produce a severely compromised cell-mediated immune system, as the nude mouse and numerous thymectomized mammalian studies have shown. Although some general reference books still list the appendix as vestigial, most immunologists, I included, meaning the doctor, will strongly disagree. Now let's look at other definitions. Immune system. Immune system consists of specialized cells, lymphocytes, and macrophages and structures, including lymph nodes, spleen, thymus, bone marrow, tonsils, adenoids, and appendix. Immune system and blood are closely related yet different. The blood includes plasma and numerous kinds of blood cells. Their cells share a common origin in the bone marrow, and the immune system uses the bloodstream to transport its components. The immune system includes organs and tissues in which lymphocytes predominate, as well as cells that circulate in peripheral blood. Lymphoid organs include the lymph nodes and vessels, spleen, tonsils, adenoids, appendix, bone marrow, thymus, and intestinal lymphoid tissue. The bone marrow and thymus play a role in developing the primary cells to the immune system, B cells and T cells. Now, many evolutionists claim that the appendix has something to do with the digestive system. No, it has something to do with the immune system. We're going to go much further to shoot down the idea that the appendix is vestigial. Now, I have an article that was written a couple of years ago, and it validates that the appendix is not vestigial. And it comes from the Associated Content, and the title is "The Appendix Serves a Purpose After All." New research shows that the appendix houses a store of beneficial bacteria for the intestines. Now, after being dubbed useless for so many years, new research at Duke University Medical Center has finally shown that the appendix may actually serve the purpose of being a safe place to store helpful bacteria. Through observation and experiments, something that science deals with, scientific method stuff, which destroys evolutionism, because the evolutionism has absolutely nothing to do with observation and experiments. William Parker, PhD, and Dr. Randall Bollinger, another PhD, performed a deductive study on the appendix and reached the conclusion that the appendix stores a surplus of helpful bacteria to restore the helpful bacteria in the intestines if an illness wipes out all bacteria from the intestines. In the past, while physicians have always been uncertain as to what the appendix role in the body is, they have always known that immune system tissue lives inside of the appendix. Wow. In addition, the stomach and intestines contain different bacteria and enzymes to help digest food. Parker's research has now led him to believe that the appendix helps to protect the beneficial bacteria. During the course of his extensive 10-year study, Parker has realized and documented that a biofilm exists in the bowel. A biofilm is a thin layer that is a combination of microbes, mucus, and immune system molecules. The biofilm covers the top of the lining of the intestines. His research concluded the biofilm in the intestines protects the beneficial microbes so that the harmful microbes cannot take root in the lining of the intestines. Furthermore, his research has also shown that even more biofilms exist in the appendix than in the intestines. It is in the biofilm that the appendix houses a reserve of beneficial bacteria. When the body is taken by an illness that induces very severe diarrhea, that flushes the body of all its bacteria, then the beneficial bacteria the appendix is storing can move from the appendix to the lining of the intestines. Isn't that awesome? God's creation right there on the spot. And I'm going to show you another article that validates what William Parker and Dr. Randall Bollinger states. Appendix isn't useless at all. It's a safe house for bacteria. Long denigrated as vestigial or useless, the appendix now appears to have a reason to be as a safe house for the beneficial bacteria living in the human gut. Drawing upon a series of observations and experiments, Duke University Medical Center investigators postulate that the beneficial bacteria in the appendix that aid digestion can ride out a bout of diarrhea that completely evacuates the intestines and emerge afterwards to repopulate the gut. The theory appears online in the Journal of Theoretical Biology. While there is no smoking gun, the abundance of circumstantial evidence makes a strong case for the role of the appendix as a place where the good bacteria can live safe and undisturbed until they are needed, said William Parker, PhD, Assistant Professor of Experimental Surgery, who conducted the analysis in collaboration with R. Randall Bollinger, MD, PhD, Duke Professor Emeritus in General Surgery. Doctors, surgeons. The appendix is a slender 2 to 4 inch pouch located near the juncture of the large and small intestines. While its exact function in humans has been debated by physicians, it is known that there is immune system tissue in the appendix. The gut is populated with different microbes that help the digestive system break down the food we eat. In return, the gut provides nourishment and safety to the bacteria. Parker now believes that the immune system cells found in the appendix are there to protect rather than harm the good bacteria. For the past 10 years, Parker has been studying the interplay of these bacteria in the bowels, and in the process has documented the existence in the bowel of what is known as a biofilm. This thin and delicate layer is an amalgamation of microbes, mucus, and immune system molecules living together atop the lining the intestines. He says, our studies have indicated that the immune system protects and nourishes the colonies of microbes living in the biofilm. Parker explained, by protecting these good microbes, the harmful microbes have no place to locate. We have also shown that biofilms are most pronounced in the appendix and their prevalence decreases moving away from it. This new function of the appendix might be envisioned if conditions in the absence of modern healthcare and sanitation are considered, Parker said. And the article is long. I'm going to put it in the links, information, that way you can read it at your leisure. But yeah, the appendix is not vestigial. You need it. It's help to deal with in case the bacteria in the intestines are withdrawn. The appendix comes in and takes over and puts more good bacteria in it. So no, the appendix is not vestigial. It never was vestigial. You need to catch on, because you see, we creationists knows that our bodies have the sign, and it helps us to deal with mutations and the sun's radiation, which causes the majority of mutations on this planet. So I'll leave it as that. If you want to rebut this, by all means do so. Do not get emotional on me. Do not, if you start, for lack of a better word, you start swearing and saying bad language, I will block you completely. So just stick with the subject at hand. Don't get emotional by this. If you don't like it, too bad. Don't comment, just go away. But just watch the video, and as you can see, the appendix is not vestigial at all, does not prove evolutionism in any way, form, or shape. Evolutionism never existed, only exists in the minds of those that reject that God and His moral law.